Okay guys, so I don't know how many of you have been watching the Netflix series called Polygamist. I've been watching it. Oh gosh, can you imagine that? Let's come back on. Where's my hotel room number? Don't even know. I'm looking at this and I don't know. So I don't know how many of you have been watching the Netflix series called The Polygamist. I just kind of started it, and just midway through, there's just a lot of things that I'm just seeing that is just so annoying. And basically, what I want to talk about is just how women, like, I don't think we realize how powerful we are as women. And when I see women like belittle themselves so much because of a man, I'm just like, baby girl, you shouldn't be doing this. And I feel like oftentimes men in their head assume that they have, or not even an assumption, they genuinely believe in their heart, like, that they have a pass at certain things because the women have not set the boundaries. So if you watch the Polygamist, you could see that from the very first wife he married, so he got married to, so he had this woman in his early days when he was still struggling, that he promised marriage, that really helped him, supported him, helped him get out of the, like, the trenches into the city. He gets in there, goes to school, and then meets this other woman from a pretty wealthy family, because he starts to talk about how the woman's family supported him or is supporting him with a couple of like business deals. So he marries this woman and then he comes back. So I like the fact that, right, he made promises to the first woman who helped him in the trenches, and that he came back to honor the things that he said he was going to do. He said he was going to buy her a car, build her a house. So I like the fact that he honored all of that. The bit that I didn't like was just like, why then go? Anyways, that's the crux of the whole show, is obviously showing how this polygamist man is managing his life. So obviously he gets married to this other woman while still married to the other woman that he met in the city. So my thing is, and this is where I feel like, I feel like this happens real life, and it happens. So I feel like things like this happen because oftentimes women just don't set boundaries about what they are willing to accept and what they would not. You just see the battle between women and this man, and I feel like oftentimes it really comes from, number one, a place of, I don't know, trauma. Because when I was watching the series, the third wife that he took, I remember there was a scene where that third wife's mother was asking her daughter, because she was so upset, like, why are you marrying a married man? This man is so married, and you knew that he was so married. And the daughter was claiming, oh, I'm in love with him. And the mom was like, are you in love with yourself? And I think oftentimes this is where it comes from. You have women who have not healed from certain traumas, who do not actually love themselves. They think they do love themselves, but they don't. They need to go back, do a lot of work on their mental health, their well-being, their, just kind of refresh their mindset. And I think that's a very valid question to ask. Like, do you love yourself? Because how can you love yourself and think that it's okay to take someone else's husband, and think that it's okay to keep fighting someone else's legitimate wife? Like, how can you think that it's okay? No, it's not okay, girl. You are not okay. You do not love yourself. Facts. I don't care what anybody wants to say. And then I also think like I feel like women do not set boundaries. And this was something that I struggled with for a very long time. So I do empathize with certain women who would struggle, like, with setting boundaries. And sometimes they set it, they break it. It's fine. You have to give yourself some grace, hold space for yourself. I did that for myself. Very long time. I would say, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to engage a man in this way. And I'll find myself like going right back to what I said I never would do. So I had to hold space for myself. And I think women, we have to get to a point where we actually set the boundary. It's okay if you break the boundaries. Go back, remind yourself why you set that boundaries, that why you set the boundary, and stick to it. Because if you look at the first wife that he married, yeah, I know that one was in love with him because obviously that was almost like her first love. They went through a lot of things together, difficult challenges together. So I get that. But when he came back and she knew, when he came back to her, she knew that he'd been married. Now, if at that point she decided, you know what, yeah, you're married now, like you've cut out your life for yourself, you don't have any need for. Came back and said, when he came back, if she just said, you know what, you've made a decision, you married now, there's no need for me, like literally. Perhaps the guy may have gone back to someone else. He may have found another wife and done that. But imagine if every woman that found out, that knew that he was so married, literally set the boundary of like, you know what, yeah, you're married, so I'm not going to cross that line. Imagine if every woman that he met was able to just like push back when he was leaning in. But no, all of them accepted it. They all, in fact, yeah, all of them, well, except the second, well, the very first wife that he married probably didn't know this about him. So fair enough. Like, there's no way she could have known. He lied from the jump. But after the first wife, the second wife that he went to marry knew about the first wife. She even knew that he was married to someone before he proposed to her. And then the third one that he married knew that he had a wife. So my point is like, we do get to there are situations where women actively know that this man is married. And this is not me trying to pass judgment on anybody. Seriously, I couldn't care less about like judging anybody. I don't even have the energy. But I just feel like a lot of the things that we're struggling with as women generally, the main message I'm trying to, I guess, articulate here is that oftentimes a lot of, yes, the men they do have their own responsibility as mature men, responsible men, to make sound decisions, right? But we also have a role as women to play, in the sense of like, just going by this polygamist, and just, I know that what is happening was, that script is actually real life. Like, I've kind of heard it happen, seen it happen, so I know that this is something that happens in real life. And I feel like if women can just set the boundaries, say no to certain types of like behaviors and like actions, that would really help the men to be more accountable and a little bit and more responsible. Like, and I think oftentimes you find that even the weaker ones are the ones that need to be kind of like the strong ones, in the sense of like they have to be the ones that will put their foot down and say, you know what, like, this is not right, I'm not gonna acquiesce to it. Like, if you're married, you're married, get on your way. Imagine if that man went to the next woman and she's saying the same thing, and the next woman and the next woman. Where's it gonna go? So that's my point. Like, as like, yeah, so but